If you've been burned in a relationship where you started dating somebody and it started out great, they were fun, they were charismatic, it was like, wow, this person could be the one, only to find out a few months later that they were either a narcissist or they had attachment problems and they ultimately broke your heart, it can be shattering to our confidence. And moving forward, you want to meet somebody who lights you up. You want to meet somebody who feels great, who you're super attracted to, but we can be gun shy about really stepping in and leaning into those relationships if we're afraid that down the road, we're going to experience the same pain, the same heartache. And so how can you distinguish between someone who is charismatic and a high quality relationship that's ultimately going to last versus someone who has narcissism or has attachment disorders, but starts out looking really good in the beginning? So today we're going to talk about 5 charismatic qualities that are actually huge red flags. The first quality that could become a red flag is overconfidence. And this one's tricky because confidence itself is sexy. We love people who have a plan, people who are sure of themselves, people who own their own space, people who are confident. All of that energy is highly attractive in both men and women. It can show and demonstrate this sense of self-worth. But when confidence becomes overconfidence, it becomes arrogance. And that's where it gets dangerous. So you want to be on the lookout for the guy who presents himself as perfect, as Mr. Cool, as always has the answers. Now, the challenge is often with this kind of person, all your light switches are like flipped on. Like you're electrified all the way up and down. You're like, wow, this person is awesome. And with that, the challenge is desire affects perception. When you want something to work out, we're often willing to overlook these red flags. So the nuance, what you want to pay attention to is, does this interaction have a superficial feel to it? Does it not feel as real? Does it not feel as authentic? In other words, how do you know that? When you feel like you have to be perfect, where you can't relax, you're not going to feel at peace around this guy, as accepted around this particular guy, that if you screw up, he's going to judge you. You're not going to be enough for this guy. And there are some dark sides to this overconfidence that you can begin to pick up. The dark sides are he never thinks he's wrong, right? Everybody else is wrong. It's always everybody else's fault. He gets jealous easily. He starts to get possessive. He doesn't think the rules apply to him. This is the kind of guy who's likely to cheat. So that's why you really want to pay attention to this. So here's one of the nuances is, does the relationship and does his confidence have a caring feel? Is it caring confidence that includes other people? Or is it bold but cold?
It's called skill.
That's the difference between a guy who's authentically confident versus overconfident. The second charismatic red flag is over certainty in your connection. And here's why this one is dangerous. Often we're romantic, right? Like we love those stories of love at first sight. Like you meet somebody and you just know, like your souls know that the two of you are meant to be together. That's a super romantic, super aspirational feeling or experience. That's the feeling that I wanted. While that is aspirational, the truth of the matter is that is a tale told by the victors. In other words, for every one person that they found love that way, where they just saw each other and they just knew that this person was the one, there's like 1,000 stories of people who thought that, felt that way, and then it didn't work out. And so this guy who is overconfident in your connection is going to come out and say, oh my gosh, I've never met anyone like, I just feel this connection with you. I feel like you're the one. I feel like we could go the distance. And he's saying these things early on. And the challenge is it's romantic. The challenge is it's what we want to hear. Challenge is it appeals to our ego because we feel special. We feel unique. We feel deserving of that kind of relationship. But what you want to be careful of is the person who's showering you with this level of certainty and this level of compliments, because what happens is when they pour into you that way, if they're a narcissist, they see and feel you get hooked into that same belief, then they use that for control. Then what they'll do is they'll start to manipulate you and they'll start to push away and pull away and keep you off balance. I remember dating this woman in my mid-20s, meditated, and she was into spirituality. I meditate, I'm into spirituality, and I thought, wow, she could be my forever person. She instantly was like, you're my soulmate. Like, I feel that we're connected. I feel that, and it just sucked me into this relationship because of the potential belief that what if we have this deeper connection? But on a surface level, all the interactions in this relationship, the way that she showed up, the way, how consistent she was, her relationship with honesty, her ability to follow through and keep her word, all of that wasn't present and wasn't there. And yet I was way invested in this relationship. Why? Because I believed in her belief that we were meant to be together. So how do you know? How do you tell the difference between when you do have that special connection with somebody versus someone is using that as a control tactic? The only way you know is over time. That really is the only way to know, which is why it's so important to keep things grounded, to keep things slow, and just watch how they're showing up over time and are they consistent. It's okay to entertain someone who's saying, wow, I feel like we have this great connection, and I feel like this might go the distance. You can say, okay, I'm feeling this really strong connection too. And let's be present. Let's be in the here and now. Let's enjoy it one day at a time. The next charismatic but red flag is grand plans early on. Right? When the guy early on starts talking about big adventures with you, like, hey, we should go take this trip together, or next winter, let's get our friends together and let's go up to the mountains, or we should go see this show together. If he starts talking about grand plans, that's really seductive. Why? Because it's exciting. He's up to big things. He's including you in those things. He's thinking about you in the future. And so here's the misconception. See, if you or I were to do those things, if you and I were to consider inviting somebody 6 months from now up to a mountain adventure with our friends, that would also be attached with a certain level of commitment, a certain level of emotional engagement. The problem is there's all kinds of assumptions we make that if somebody suggests something or makes plans, that they feel how we would feel if we made the same offer. And that's not always the case. If it's early in the relationship, and this guy's throwing out great plans, it might not be because you're super special and he's already in love and he's already decided he wants to go the distance. It could be, but it's way more likely that if it's early in the relationship and he really doesn't know you that well, that this is just his way of being. This is just who he is. It doesn't mean commitment. It doesn't mean a lot of things. He's probably making these offers to everybody. So we don't want to overinterpret what this invitation is by measuring it against our own criteria, but instead, again, just take things slow and see if he actually backs it up with action. Now, the next charismatic quality that is for sure a red flag is fascinating stories that are all about him. See, we love people who are great conversationalists, who can tell a great story, who are engaging, who are captivating. That's super, super fun. And so this guy is going to be funny. He's going to have jokes. He's going to be a great conversationalist. He's going to tell stories. And all these stories are going to have one thing in common: himself. And so this becomes a red flag because this guy is not just trying to impress you, but he needs to be the center of attention while doing it. He needs to feel significant. He needs to feel adoration. He needs to feel important. Now, you might be tempted to think that, oh, this guy's just trying to impress me, because that's what guys do as well. They'll over talk and overtell stories because they want to impress the woman. And if you're thinking he's going to come around and on the next date or the date after that, he'll ask me questions, let me just tell you, no, he won't. If on the first date, he's not emotionally aware enough to know that this conversation has to be mutual, it has to go back and forth, he's not interested in you, he's not asking questions in you, that quality won't come around. So one of the best indicators when you're on the date is to trust your intuition and notice your feeling. If you're feeling drained because this guy's telling story after story after story, you want to notice that. That's a red flag. That he's not picking up, your energy is going down and tossing you a question and letting you engage. We're built as human beings to have conversations that go back and forth. One of the great tools you can notice is that if it's not going back and forth, you notice your energy starting to get drained, it's because he's hogging the whole conversation. He's doing way too much of the talking and not tossing it back to you and interested in you. When a guy does that, he's interested in you, he's pouring into you, there's this beautiful reciprocation of energy, and you both feel energized and expanded. That's what you're looking for in the interaction. And the fifth charismatic quality that is a red flag is he always has the perfect thing to say when he's messed up. Let's say he said he was going to call at 7. He didn't follow through. And you call him and you two of you are talking and he'll have these elaborate reasons, these elaborate excuses that pull on your heartstrings, that pull on your compassion. Oh, my mom had such a hard day at work and she called me and she was crying and I couldn't get off the phone with her. And he'll make up these big stories. He always has some perfect reason. Maybe he hasn't called you in a few days and he's pulled back. And so you call him and you're like, hey, what's going on? Are we still good? And he'll talk about the fact that, he's really loves you so much or cares about you so much or is so into this, like he got in his head and he kind of scared himself and he had to take a couple of days to figure this thing out, but he really likes you and he really feels good about you. And now he realizes that this thing can go the distance and he's wanting to double down on this relationship. And so notice this kind of guy who's always got the perfect thing to say is really eloquent at speaking emotional intelligence. He's really able to talk a good game. But the truth of the matter is there's something about this interaction that always leaves you feeling vacant, leaves you feeling empty, leaves you feeling disappointed. So as you look at the interaction, you're like, am I always kind of disappointed with this guy? But then he makes me feel better just with his stories? Because remember, desire affects perception. If you want it to work out, it's way easier to believe in the stories and his reasons. But there's one thing that all of his stories and reasons have in common. And that is that it's never his fault. It's always some other circumstance's fault, or it's your fault. And if you get disappointed, and if you bring that up to him and you want something different, he'll make you wrong. He'll make you the crazy one. It's like, oh my gosh, like no one's ever complained about this. Like, why are you making this such a big deal? And he'll put it on you when you've got a legitimate need, a legitimate desire that deserves to be honored and respected. So if the guy's always got the right thing to say to cover his tracks, to cover his mistakes, know this. Turn your volume up on your watching and your listening. That is a major red flag. So what can you do to give yourself more confidence as you're dating somebody and you're noticing they have charismatic qualities, but you don't want one of these red flags? The number one thing you can do is to take it slow. Make sure that their words and their actions match and stay tuned into your intuition. Do you feel good in their presence? Are you consistently off balance and disappointed with the interaction? So my question for you is, what are some of the charismatic qualities that have ultimately become red flags in your relationships? Go ahead and post those in the comments below. We'll build this list. I appreciate you. Here's to your amazing love life. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.